Hello, it's Karen Knott from Primetime Business, and I'm really looking forward to today's interview with this lady here, who is Ceri Wheeldon. Now, Ceri is the creator and owner of Fab After 50, which just so happens to be one of my favourite online magazines. So, welcome, Ceri.
Hi, Karen. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
It's a real pleasure. I'm really looking forward to this, as I say, because I know, strictly speaking, Fab After 50 is not your first business, and
No, not no.
most of the women I interview are setting up first-time businesses later in life. But I know that setting up Fab After 50 was a bit of a new departure for you.
It's absolutely, it's totally different from what I was doing before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, and I know that people are going to be really interested to hear about that and also to learn about it. And it's actually just occurred to me, Ceri, we both share a similar audience, don't we?
Do.
And we're both sort
Absolutely.
of
Yeah.
flying the flag for women over 50. So it's quite likely that people will actually know you already, which will be an interesting.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we've done something right. I know we've done quite a few bits together in the
Yeah,
past, as well, haven't
yeah,
we?
yeah,
Had a
we
lot
have.
of crossover in what we've been doing.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, Fab After 50 is a really fantastic resource. So, huge congratulations to
Thank
you.
you. Yeah. Mhm.
Um, so, sort of take us back a bit then, Ceri, to where it all began. Was there a light bulb moment? How did Fab After 50 start?
Well, it began because my background is actually headhunting.
Okay.
And so, but 25, 27, I've lost track of how many years I've worked as an international headhunter. I'm mostly placing men in roles, but occasionally I would have a short list where there would be a woman. And when I realised that if I had a short list of, say, 3 or 4 people, there was no difficulty at all with clients accepting the men of that age group on the short list. But I always had to do a little bit more of a selling job if I had a woman over 50 on the short list. And it seemed to me that there was sort of subtle discrimination, although the legislation was there. Mindset, especially with younger people who perhaps were to be conducting the first interviews, the mindsets were taking a little bit longer to catch up. So that was one aspect. And then I happened to be on a plane, delayed at an airport, reading bits from the magazine that I wouldn't normally read in the Sunday supplements. And a lady had written in an agony aunt letter, feeling her life was over at 50. And her daughter was 30, was having this wonderful life, and she didn't have a wonderful life. And I had anticipated the response would be, of course you can have a wonderful life over 50. I should add, I was 49 at the time. And I thought the response would be, you have a wonderful life over 50, lots of opportunities. And they didn't say that. What they said was, well, what do you expect? You have to expect the exciting time of your life is over. You accept your daughter's going to have the glamour and the fun now. Basically, they said you should get a rocking chair, take up knitting,
Oh, God.
go look at it. They mentioned a specific website, which I won't mention, but which I'd never looked at before. And anyway, so when I landed, I looked at it, and it was all about bird watching and what did you do in the war. And I thought, this poor lady can be positively not just depressed but suicidal if she's gone on to this now, unless she happened to be a very keen bird watcher, which I kind of gathered she probably wasn't. But also that same weekend in the supplements, you had pictures of people like Madonna, Michelle Pfeiffer,
Yeah.
Sharon Stone, all very glamorous and over 50. And I thought, well, there has to be something between the two. And I went online and there wasn't anything. There was nothing there which I felt represented or enabled women to share things in a way that we saw ourselves. And so I knew nothing about websites, but I decided to look at that. There was nothing there. I'll create it.
As you do.
It could have been better the word. I'm not. Jury's still out. I mean, I have great fun doing it. It started as a hobby, so I was still doing my other bits and pieces. So Fab After 50 didn't start as a big business. It started more as a hobby and an interest, and me basically taking a stand and wanting to fly the flag and give people an opportunity to share things.
But it's so, I mean, that's often the way though, Ceri, isn't it? These things
Yeah.
start as a sort of a passion, if you like.
Absolutely, yeah, and I still have that passion.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I have the challenge where I'm having the challenge of turning it into a business, and I'm looking at various ways of doing that.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting, to know how it started. Funnily enough, you've just reminded me of something. We have a local magazine. Again, I probably shouldn't mention its title, but it's specifically for people over 50. And one of the first time it dropped through my letterbox, one of the sections was called, were holding an event called Soup and Socks.
Soup and socks? What was that about?
I think it was something to do with keeping warm at winter.
Oh,
I
really?
remember thinking, soup and socks.
Well,
Who's this for?
I mean, I get so many calls from PR people, and some of them can be quite young, and they'll call me with something, your readers will love this, and they'll come up with something like, it could be a soup and socks type thing. I said, I don't think so. It's not quite right for my audience. You know, we're not really interested in that. You know, we're quite dynamic. We're doing things. We're setting up businesses. We're traveling. We're still interested in heels and fashion. Not flat sort of lace. Yeah, soup and socks. And then they think I'm misunderstood. They just speak more slowly and more loudly. I said, no, I'm not deaf. I'm just not interested.
So there's a way to go yet, but
a little way to go.
Slowly.
Getting better though. I think
absolutely. But let's talk about age and setting up a business. I mean, it's something that obviously is important to the people that I work with. They are women of a certain age, and for me, they tend to sort of fall into two camps. They're either sort of I'm over 50, I better get on with it now. So their age is like a motivation for them, if you like, a big motivator. Or for most of them, I'd say there's this sort of little thing. They know they can do it, but there's this thing about, have I left it too late? Am I too old to be doing this? I mean, did anything like that occur to you?
No, not really. No, I have to be honest, I didn't even think about age as a factor. And I think age can be an advantage set as business, because there are far more businesses succeed which are set up by women over 50 than under 50, especially between the ages, say, 20 and 30. And I think the economy has changed as well. And I wrote a piece, in fact, for my website, which got shared an awful lot on things like Google Plus, etc., this particular piece. And I think we've moved from being sort of, in one place said it's a digital economy, but I think now it's very much the relationship economy. People buy from people, whatever it is, a product or a service. And I think women over 50, we are probably the best place to actually take advantage of that. Because as women, we tend to be better communicators and better at relationship building, perhaps, than men, and perhaps that's a bit sexist, but potentially true. And I think at this stage in our lives, we have experience of establishing and growing relationships across the generations. So we're equally comfortable talking to teenagers and talking to people in their 80s and 90s. So as a generation of women, I think we are incredibly well placed to take advantage of that in whatever our businesses happen to be.
Oh, absolutely. You're preaching to converted here. But so what about challenges then? Let's talk about what would you say was the biggest challenge you faced setting up Fab After 50?
I think technology.
Okay.
Because I'm not really, although I'd worked in an industry that had a lot of obviously focus on technology, I'd never really had to use it. So understanding how to develop the website, understanding social media, for instance, that was all news to me. I didn't have a clue. Someone said to me, well, you need to go onto Twitter, and it looked like hieroglyphics to me with all the short links and things. I didn't have a clue what that was about. So I think those are definitely challenges for me.
So, Ceri, just if you would, could you just sort of give us a bit of an overview of, I don't know, a typical, if such a day exists, or a typical week, just to give people who are listening to this some idea of the, ways in which you perhaps generate your revenue or whatever, just an idea of what you do.
Well, I'm doing some PR helping with some PR for quite a big event. So as part of that, which is an over 50s event, so as part of that, I'm doing, actually similar to what we're doing here, I'm doing a series of Skype interviews for that today. Tomorrow I'm speaking at an event, the organisation Prime, Prince Charles's charity, so I'm speaking about that, about the differences that setting up a business over 50 and over 30, in fact. So I'm giving a talk there and talk about free resources or cheap resources that are available to people to set up businesses. Then I'm going on to another press event to give you an idea what I'm doing. Wednesday then I'll be actually doing more sort of content generation and talking to potential people who express an interest in sponsoring the website. So that's Wednesday sorted. Thursday, I'm also developing some information products. So on Thursday, we have a filming day for some of the components of some of the products on Thursday. And then Friday, it's very much office catch-up mode.
Now
And
that's
of
what
course,
I call a varied week.
quite a very week. And because all the way through that, every day there are certain things you do. As you know, Cam, you still have to make sure your social media aspects are there. I'll still be doing website updates. So you have all of those and responding to requests for information, etc. that come through. So yeah, so quite a varied week, really.
You know, as someone who is, I call you a serial entrepreneur because I know that you have had businesses in the past, but what would you say is the thing that Fab After 50 really gives you? You know, what's the best bit of that for you?
I think for me, it's the first time I've worked in something that's been primarily with women, because I've always in the past been like the sole woman in a man's environment. So I think I've had more of a sense of belonging to this, because I was always I've worked in other industries. I was, as I said, this sort of the sole female in the group. And so, yes, you get on with people, but you don't kind of have that same connection as all men had with each other. There was always that little one step removed from them. So this time I think I'm in the thick of it and thoroughly enjoying that. It's my first opportunity to be a little bit sort of girly, in quotes.
Yes.
You know, I can sort of dress more softly, perhaps be a bit more myself in terms of the things I wear and the jewellery, rather than having to have that very sort of corporate look that I've always had to have before. I get sent so many things to try. It's like Christmas every day. The postman arrives and it's a pot of cream or something, or hold me in knickers or whatever. You know, would you like to review this for the website? I'm waiting for my world cruise. I haven't had the invite for that yet, because I do travel on the website too, but I haven't been off the world cruise yet. So it's quite nice to have opportunities to try different things, and also I share those with other people. A lot of the things that I get, I have people aligned with different charities that do things for me as well, so that I can give something a little bit back through those things as well.
And what about you personally, though? You know, would you say, how has creating this business changed you? I mean, you touched a little bit perhaps on it's, you know, it's enabled you to get into more in touch with sort of, you know, your feminine side perhaps, but any other ways in which it's changed you as a person?
Maybe I'm a bit softer, a bit gentler, and I'm probably slightly less on the surface, slightly less driven than, because I think when you're working with all men to a certain way, you don't have to behave like them, but you get a bit caught up in the competitive aspect of work. So I'm perhaps driven in a gentler way now. And I think it's also enabled me to learn a lot of different things, because I never thought I'd be very good at anything to do with technology. And yet here I film videos, I edit them, they're uploaded onto YouTube. My former PAs look at me in astonishment. They said I couldn't even get a whole Word document out before, and yet here I am, uploading things on the website, creating, you know, pictures with words and quotes, etc. Video productions. They can't believe I'm doing all of that, and sometimes I can't believe I'm doing it either.
But what that sort of proves, though, Ceri, isn't it, that all these things which perhaps potentially could hold somebody back, they're all learnable skills, aren't they?
Absolutely. And YouTube is wonderful. I mean, if I don't know how to do something, especially for something technical, I may be doing it on my PC, but I'll be on a YouTube tutorial on my iPad, and I'll pause it while I catch up. And I'll go, right, let me do this. Yeah, do this, press A, press B. And you can learn how to do those things. Sign up for things like free webinars, because then they might want to sell you something at the end. You can only learn one or two things that you can put into motion, and Google it and explore more about those aspects and learn a little bit more about it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's like all these resources at your fingertips now, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's almost like, you know, I always say to people, you don't need to learn it all, and what you do need to learn, you can learn as you go.
You can, absolutely. Or you can, there are sort of cheap resources online, things like Fiverr and Elon. So you can go at those. If you can't use it, as long as you know what it is you want, what the parameters are, pay somebody else $5 to go and do it for you.
Absolutely.
So I think those things, I've learnt how to do, those sorts of things. What else have I learnt? Well, in fact, interestingly, I was nominated to be Woman of the Year in Marketing, which is very exciting, because I didn't think I was in marketing. And I got this nomination, and are you sure you've got the right person? I'm not really in marketing, because I don't have, I hadn't had a career in marketing. It was very flattering to be included on the shortlist. I was shortlisted, I didn't win, but still to get to the top three, when you think that maybe it's because of the approach and the way I had put, they felt the building of Fab After 50 saw as a campaign of changing the perceptions of how the over 50s market should be addressed. So that was quite interesting that I'd been picked for that reason.
Well, that is wonderful, isn't it? You know, and I think it's true, you know, I think you have done a lot to change the perception of, I mean, we all, as individuals, we knew that we weren't being catered for, but nobody had actually stepped in and sort of said, hang on a minute, you know, something needs to be done to fill a gap here because you're not representing us properly.
And I think it has been highlighted. In fact, there was a brand actually commissioned a poll, the YouGov poll recently, and it was a women's wear brand. And I found myself then, as a result of their results of that survey, being on, I did 16 radio interviews on one day, talking about whether or not women over 50 were being catered for on the high street. So I think people have woken up to the fact that we are a huge mass of people, big spending power.
Huge economic force we are as well.
Absolutely. And they kind of ignore us at their peril, really. So I think, you know, and if I could, in some way, the website and the women who contributed to the website, the self-included accounts, in fact, it's not just me, other people have come along and contributed to that website. It's not my view of things, it's a collective piece. I've just basically provided the platform. So I think that with that, if that's played a part in any way of changing those perceptions, in that sense, part of the job has been done.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It's been brilliant talking to you, Ceri. Can we it's coming to the end of our interview now. Would you have any sort of words of wisdom to share with anyone who's thinking of setting up a business?
Right. Well, first of all, I think be realistic in terms of your timescales. I think if you've got an idea, really sound other people out who maybe aren't friends and family, because you don't want to run ideas by people who are going to say what they think you want to hear. You want to see if there's a different market out there and the people that will be honest with you. I know that what I did before I set up the website, I actually took a stand at an event and I just surveyed people and said, if I were to set up a website for women over 50, what age do you think we really need it? I know I said it's a hobby, but I knew I was going to invest some time. So I wanted to see if it was worth investing the time. But do we really need it? And what would you like to see in it? And so at least I got a sense of people opened up to me in a non-threatening environment. I wasn't trying to sell anything. And said that's what they told me what they would like to see and what they felt the issues were. And I think actually the issues 5 years ago are different to the issues that people talk about now, interestingly.
All right, so things are evolving as we speak.
I think they are evolving.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic, Ceri. I really enjoyed talking to you. It's been brilliant. And I'd just like to say, you know, wish you continued success with Fab After 50. And all power to you.
And can I just say, because people get confused with how we spell the website name, which is one of my mistakes, it's Fab After 50, FIFTY.co.uk.
Right, and I'm going to put all those details below this video as well, so that people just have to click on it and find you if they're not already there.
Okay.
All right, Ceri, thank you so much. Okay, bye for now.
Thank you, bye-bye.